Hi there guys, this is the most awaited videos for which I have been receiving a lots of messages, and I hope this video clears lots of doubts which you guys must be having before the PGI exam. This video I have made in a PowerPoint style, and I've just written down the basic points and I'll be explaining each point along throughout the video. So essentially this is the table of contents, like what all stuff would I be discussing here. The first thing is, like, the most commonly asked question is what to study at this point of time, like just 1 month before the exam. What all should you go through, what all there should be on your list to cover. Then time management, which is very important. Each subject should be given adequate time, not more than that, not less than that. So accordingly, how should you plan out your schedule for this last 1 month before the exam comes? The third important thing is approach to previous papers. Previous papers are pretty important, especially in an exam like PGI, and you should know how to approach those papers, what to expect from them, what not to expect from them. Then there is role of mock or practice exams. What exactly are they meant for? What exactly do you stand to gain from these exams? Some miscellaneous information which is pretty obvious, but then once told it becomes, ingrained into our minds. What to do the day before the exam, the day we are all anxious. The next day is one of the toughest exams, and what to do the day before that. And finally, the D-Day, what to do, what not to do, and how to sail through the exam smoothly. So in this video, I'll be making in two parts. In the first part, I'll be discussing till the approach to previous papers, and in the next video I'll be discussing the rest 4 points. So straightways coming to the first thing, what to study. The first and foremost thing every PGI aspirant should understand is the importance of short subjects. Short subjects are very important in PGI for two reasons. The first is they have a high tendency of getting repeated, right? The probability of these questions getting repeated is pretty high. And second thing is, the chances of you getting them correct are also very high if you've read them, right? So now see, in a subject like medicine, how much ever you read, there'll always be some question which you'll not be able to attempt, or you'll attempt it wrongly. Now this is not the case of short subjects. If you have covered them, in a smart way, if you have covered what all is required for you to know, then there is a very high chance that you will get almost 90 to 95% questions from this section correct. And trust me, this means a lot in an exam, because this will really give you a push over other your competitors. So first thing, know the importance of short subjects, be thorough with them. If you still feel at this point of time that one or the other of your short subjects is weak, try and put more efforts in it, so that by the time the actual exam comes, you're pretty good in all the short subjects, right? Now next, I have listed out a few subjects: Path, Biochem, Obs Gynae, Surgery and Medicine. Now why have I listed out these 5 subjects is the reason. See, this is the distribution of the questions in the exam, right? This is taken from the prospectus. If you note, biochemistry is 12, immuno is included in biochemistry, so that makes a total of 22. Internal medicine counts for 36, Obs Gynae is 20, and general surgery is 36. So if you see that these, general surgery, gynae, medicine, biochem, and then path. Okay, where is path? Yeah, path is here, 15. So if you see, these 5 subjects are actually accounting for almost half of the questions asked in the exam, right? PGI has around 250 questions, not around, exactly 250 questions, out of which 129 are from these subjects that I have mentioned, right? So you can understand the importance of these 5 subjects. Like, out of the total of 19 subjects, these 5 are holding the chunk of the questions asked in the exam. Now you cannot afford to have, everyone has their own weak subjects, but then for the PGI exam, you certainly cannot afford to have your weak subject among these 5. So make sure try and read these subjects as well as possible. These subjects are very important and you should read them as, as thoroughly as possible in order to score well in the exam. Because you see, as the chunk is coming out of these subjects you need to be really good in. All right. So this is just an overview of what should you study in the last 1 month. I mean, you'll be studying a lot of other stuff based on your personal weaknesses and strengths, but this is a general idea of what you should not be missing out on. Next is the schedule, right? In this 1 month before the exam, how should you plan your time and how should you distribute it among these subjects? Now, as I mentioned, these short subjects are very high scoring and can fetch you a lot of marks, right? But the time they need is pretty less. If you have already studied them before in a pretty decent manner, then you can easily cover 2 short subjects in 1 day, right? 2 short subjects in 1 day is a pretty achievable target. You just need to study smartly. Do not try and finish from the first page till the last page of whatever source material you're reading from. Do not try that. Revision should be smart. You should study what you're not, you will have a general idea by now what things you're missing out on, which areas you're weak at, and what all are your strengths. So your revision should be smart. You should not try to read everything while you're revising. You should try and remember what all stuff you've been forgetting before. So according to this plan, if you work like that, then you can easily complete 2 short subjects in a day. You can couple them up as you like. You can couple derma and psychiatry, and you can couple maybe an art and radio, and maybe something like ortho. So this is, as you wish, but your target in the last 1 month should be to complete 2 short subjects each day. Now, these are some heavyweight subjects. Like, I'll just put this thing right from medicine, surgery, obs-gynae, path, biochem, and immuno. If you notice, these are the same 5 subjects that I stressed upon earlier as well, that these are the heavyweight subjects that account for more than half of the questions that are asked in the PGI exam. So you'll have to give them a little more time. We can easily give these subjects around 2 days per subject, okay? 2 days per subject is a decent time span given to each. A subject like medicine, usually we tend to be lost in subjects like these. So do not stretch, especially subjects like these. What our tendency usually is, we start off well, but then we find that, okay, medicine is not getting over by 1.5 days. Okay, so I'll stretch my time span to another, say, 1 day. So, okay, medicine now 3 days, but 3 days also you cannot complete medicine. So again, you stretch it by, say 1 or 1.5 more days. Medicine is something that can never be completed. We need to understand that. So stick to your time limits, be very strict in them, and they'll be rewarding, because ultimately if you're spending more time in medicine, you're taking that time out of some other subject. And trust me, medicine is not going to reward you as much as the other, maybe some short subject is going to. So stick to your time limits, plan accordingly. These major subjects, give them 2 days per subject, and accordingly do your micro planning so that the subject gets completed in that time span. Now these subjects, PSM, PEDS, ENT, Opthal, Pharma, and Micro, ideally, if you see throughout the year, if you have revised them, they can be completed. You can give 1 day per subject, right? 1 day per subject you can give, and they can be completed in that time span, right? I'm mentioning PEDS, ENT, and Opthal separately. So take your own time and decide, like based on your personal strengths or weaknesses. Like your Opthal you might be a little weak at Opthal, so you might choose to give it around 1 to 1.5 days, right? That much liberty you should give yourself based on your personal performance. But speaking in a general manner, these subjects should be completed, in 1 day, right? 1 day per subject, I meant. Now, if according to this plan you go, like you're completing the major subjects, you're taking around 2 days per subject. Minor subjects, you're doing 2 subjects per day. Then you should have pretty much time left to revise, sufficiently in the last 1 month. Because remember, we are not only studying, from whatever source, maybe from notes or maybe from any other source you're reading. We are doing that. We are also doing previous year's questions. We are also solving some mocks. We are doing a lot of stuff, right? So you need to have certain time left for that as well. So, you should try sticking to this schedule as much as possible. Give yourself some liberty, but overall, this is a schedule that will work for you in the last 1 month. Now, there is a little disclaimer here. If you find that you're pretty good at surgery, I mean you've done it all the year long and you're pretty good at it, it's one of your strengths, then you can get some leeway here. Maybe you can do surgery only for 1 day and give the remainder 1 day to some other subjects where you're weak. It might be pathology, it might be biochemistry, anything. So you can you can mold it according to your own personal choices. So this time management should work for the last 1 month that's remaining. The next thing is how to approach the previous year papers. There are 3 choices, I mean 3 very broad choices that you have. You can either go for 3-year papers, last 5-year papers, or last 8-year papers. Now this totally depends on how many previous papers you've done before. If you're doing previous papers for the first time, you've never been through the PGI papers at all, then doing the last 3 years or last 5-year papers is a good enough choice, because you're not left with enough time, to go for the 8 years option. Last 3 years or 5 years will do. Another strategy that you can employ is do the last 3 years and the recent 3-year questions, and then go for 2 years, the most remote 2 years, right? So if you see 3 years would mean to around till 2013, right? So this is 2016 to 2013. And then you can go for some say 2008 or 9 papers, right? So the most recent papers and the most remote papers you can do. This is one thing which you can do. You can also go for the 5-year plan according to your, if time permits. But if you've already done PGI questions before, you might be sufficiently capable for doing the last 8 years. And this is pretty good. You'll be well conversed with the questions already, so this should not take you much time. Now the 2 approaches to any previous year paper is either doing them subject wise or doing them paper wise. Everybody has their own preference, but what I would suggest is, as per your revision plan, the 1 month revision plan that we just discussed, according to that, what you can do is, say on day 1 you did surgery, right? And you're pretty good at surgery, so you completed surgery on day 1 itself. Day 2, say maybe you're doing path, okay? Day 3, maybe you're doing path again, right? What you do on day 4 is solve the subject wise paper of surgery. Pick up the past year papers and do the surgery questions from them. Why am I not asking you to do surgery questions on day 1 itself is because surgery will be fresh on that day and your probability of getting the questions right would be high. So you should give yourself a little bit of toughness on that, and you should attempt the questions after at least having a span of 2 days. So this will give you a sufficiently competitive atmosphere, and you'll be tested well. So this is just an example. I mean, you can do it any which way you like, but try not to doing the same subject questions on the day you're revising them. Try giving a gap of 1 or 2 days. That will be really helpful. Now for the next thing, like this is how you can do the subject wise questions along with your revision. Next is paper wise. Now this is important too. What you can do is, say after maybe on day 1, say you did surgery, right? Day 1 you revised surgery, and maybe you were doing questions of biochemistry, right? What you can do is, on day 1, take a time out for 3 hours, right? Take a time out for 3 hours. Ideally, going very ideally, between 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., right? If time permits. If not, then this is a very minor thing. Do not fret over it. This is a very minor thing. But if time permits, take this time out between 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and create an atmosphere just like the real exam. Simulate that atmosphere. Sit at 10 a.m. Take out a mock OMR from anywhere in the net. Just Google mock OMR. You'll get plenty of OMRs. Just get a printout. Just get a Xerox, whatever. Sit with a mock OMR and take any previous year paper and solve it from question 1 to question 250 without looking at any answer, without doing anything else, without opening any textbook, without answering your phone. This is basically to simulate the exact atmosphere which you'll be getting while attempting the real exam, right? So doing paper wise will give you two benefits. First of all, it will give you the right atmosphere for the actual exam, and second thing, it will help you cover more papers this way, right? So do all the questions exactly as you would do them in the exam and do a detailed analysis later, right? What is the purpose of doing previous year papers that you should understand? There are two things. One is looking out for repeats. Mostly when we do previous year papers, we see, okay, this question, if it comes again, I should know the answer, right? The second thing is knowing the high yield areas, and know that in PGI exam, knowing this is of paramount importance. This you may know, you may not know, it does not matter as much as knowing the high yield areas does. When you are solving any question paper, any previous paper, or you're doing a subject wise questions of PGI, always, you should have a broad thinking, and you should know which are the areas am I getting repeated questions from. For example, if you see Dermat section of PGI, you will see a lot of questions coming from the topic of scabies, right? Almost every other year they have some question on scabies. And if you are solving previous year papers, you'll be able to easily recognize this pattern. This should click on your mind that this topic of yours in Dermat should not be left untouched. Rather, you should be very thorough on this topic, because definitely you should expect some or the other question coming from here. So this is the thinking that you need to develop while doing questions. Do not blindly solve them. Do not remain happy in the fact that you got all the options right. Look out for this. Open your mind. Okay, I got a question on menetrier disease and surgery this year, and again I got menetrier disease in maybe some other year. So PGI people are fond of asking menetrier disease in surgery. My menetrier disease should be perfect, because if I am to get a question on menetrier disease this year, it should not go wrong. I should be able to get all the options correct in that one. So your thinking should be like this. This is the real purpose of doing previous year papers for PGI. Next is how to approach a question. Whenever you see a question, this I'm talking about the previous papers that you will be doing, how to approach a question correctly. First of all, you should read the question stem very carefully, right? Question stem has a lot of facts which we tend to overlook in the enthusiasm of getting the answer correct. First of all, with a cool mind, and if you practice this for a long time in this span of 1 month, then you'll get it right in the main exam also. Do not think that, okay, this 1 month I can give mocks in any which way I like, and on the actual exam day I'll be perfect. That simply cannot happen. So develop that kind of approach, and then you'll do the same thing on the actual exam day. So first, read the entire question stem, what exactly it is asking. Right? What area, what broad area is it going into? What exactly does it want? Look for some very important things like except, or maybe, all are correct except, or maybe all are false except. Understand the meaning first, and then, go on looking the options. So be very thorough with the question stem. And then after reading the question stem, you'll now have a basic idea of what to expect in the options, right? And then go on reading the 5 options one by one. Read the options carefully, what exactly they mean, and what exactly options are you getting them right? Now, after you've read all the options, now basically for any general question which is not too tough, not too easy, you'll be knowing at least 1 or 2 right options. You'd be guessing, not guessing, but you'd be knowing them. Okay, fine, these say A and C are right, definitely. Okay, these 2 options. For option B, you have a 70% thing in your mind that, okay, this is right, but then a 30% element of doubt is also there. For option E, you are 100% sure that this is an incorrect option. You're not going to mark this. For D, you're 50-50. Okay, now in this case, and this is something that you'll have to develop right at this stage, taking risks, because taking risks is a very important thing in PGI exam. You'll have to develop the art of taking calculated risks, not just any risk, but a calculated risk. If you're 70% sure about a question and you feel that it's going to be right, you should mark it, right? Say you mark this question right. Now at the end of the paper, when you're analyzing, you should know, like, okay, for option B, I was 70% sure. Did it go right or did it go wrong? If it went right, well and good, your confidence would increase. If it went wrong, you should carefully analyze why were you 70% sure of that question. Was it an error in your concept? Were you wrong in your concept somewhere? Or was it a problem of your memory? Maybe you remembered something wrong, or maybe you did not read the question well. What exactly went wrong? If you analyze things this way, then your confidence will increase and your risks will have a higher success rate. Those risks will become calculated risks, right? You're not taking guesses anymore, you're making calculated risks, and that is very important in a PGI exam. So in this video, I was trying to make it as short as possible, but I know this went long. In the next video, I'll be covering the last 5 topics. That is the some miscellaneous, the role of mock and practice exams. What should you learn from them? To which certain hints I've already given. Some miscellaneous things, day before the exam and day of the exam. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, do like and subscribe and share amongst your friends. Thank you.